We have enough forensic evidence to bring the whole British establishment down. All the paedophiles, all the thieves, all the money launderers. He has 13 years of forensic documents, which are 100%.
Retired partner, lost her life savings in the investment capital venture.
This is where it stops.
Thanks, Mitch, for inviting me on this platform. Thanks a lot. And thank you all for giving up your time to come here. I hope I can give you a little bit of an insight into the darker side of the City of London. Something that you won't hear about in the normal press, but as an ex-serviceman it turns my stomach, and any police officer here would have no understanding of what organised crime is linked to political parties. Trust me, I hope in 15 minutes I can persuade you to use your fingers on the internet and search certain addresses. Because of the way that the justice system works, very few people will understand that when you make accusations against individuals or companies, you then deny your right in the justice system, because then that gets taken away as used as forensic fact or evidence in a prosecution case. So all I'm trying to give you in 15 minutes is a short side of 15 years of my life in uncovering the darker side of the City of London and the people that work within it that are stealing billions, not millions, they are stealing billions of pounds, and they're running from multiple boiler rooms, not in Burkina Faso or Nigeria, South Africa. They're operating out of the City of London. I will give you those addresses. You can all use your computers and the internet, and you will prove me right. So first of all, where did I start? In 2001, my partner, retired partner, lost her life savings in an investment capital venture fraud. Over 4 years, I assisted 2 attorneys of law who did and conducted the money trail back to the City of London and various addresses in Finchley Road. Those addresses were 788, 790 Finchley Road, and those addresses were interlocked to the money laundering mechanisms, including 130 million US dollars. The controlling directors of those companies that operate out of those addresses are Mary Philomena Stephen, David Perlman, Barbara Cahan, and many other of the Cahan family who are the administrators of those addresses. Now, I know you're all intelligent people. You have an opportunity to contradict what I'm telling you today. Look at those addresses, look how many companies operate out of those addresses, and look at the physical state of those addresses. Those addresses, 788, 790 Finchley Road, 923 Finchley Road, 665 Finchley Road, 420 Finchley Road, are all interconnected networks that control over 2 million shell companies. Those shell companies are linked to the arms trade. Now, I need not tell you about the arms trade with Iraq and Iran, and I'm an ex-serviceman, and that's where my disgust comes from, finding out some of the physical facts. They are forensic facts. They're not hearsay, they're not conspiracy, they are fact. The people that operate those boiler rooms have been working with people like Mohammed Adnan Khashoggi and various arms companies in this country, including BAE Systems. And so, my first start and my first journey into this, my crusade, started with a basic fraud, which led me as an engineering officer in the Royal Air Force to understand the mechanics of organised crime and boiler rooms. Those boiler rooms are moving money in international boiler rooms to Australia, Canada, Germany, Cyprus. They're all interlocked, and they're all controlled by very senior members of the House of Lords. Don't deny that. You can have a look. Just check those addresses. Look at all the companies. In one particular company, under Company Directors Limited and Temple Secretaries, you will find that they control over 460,000 companies. That's 4 people controlling over 500,000 shell companies. Ask yourself, Where is the money for our health services? Where are the money for the police? Where are the money for the fire department?
Yes!
Where's it gone? They're cutting down on the police forces. These are the people that protect our country. The National Health Services, it's going to be privatized. People like Sir Malcolm Rifkin, if you check and know how to check corporate documents, what you will find is that Sir Malcolm Rifkin is a co-director with Sir John Chilcot. Now, I don't have to tell you about the Chilcot report. 5 years to produce a report. So, ask yourselves this. The City of London, the capital, the financial capital of the world, protects a very, very important syndicate of very high-ranking people, and they are politicians, members of the House of Lords. If you check the directorship lists of those companies, oil, gas, and mining companies, you will find what I found 10 years ago. It's vile, billion-pound organised crime, fraud, theft, and money laundering. This is nothing to do with genuine companies. I have been an expert at dismantling corporate oil, gas, and mining companies that are shell companies. That means that they're director-only companies that operate on the alternative investment market. The alternative investment market is a casino. It's a casino for organised crime, fraud, theft, money laundering, and insider trading. And if you know anything about the stock exchange and the penny stock, if you check some of the companies that I've exposed, I will name them. I'm not ashamed to name them, and I'm not scared to be called by the directors of those companies to face them in a court of law. I exposed 5 companies that operate purportedly in the Falkland Islands. They are Desire Petroleum, Rockhopper Resources, Falklands Oil and Gas, Argus Exploration. These are some of the companies, including Border and Southern Petroleum, that are virtual companies. That means that they are director-only cash shells that by law only have to have a website and an AIM Rule 26 admission document. And then, as small startup companies, they can raise millions. Between those 5 companies, they raised over £1 billion. It's all gone. They've stolen it. They've stolen it because they moved it to subsidiary companies structured in the British Virgin Islands, Panama, Cyprus. That money has been silted out of those companies, not just by ordinary directors. These directors are nothing more than con artists, and they take you people for idiots. It's there. All you have to know is the keys to open those doors, to look at those companies and understand how they can steal billions. Those are the companies that we should get the politicians to investigate. You're talking about those addresses that I mentioned in Finchley Road. Anybody can use the internet and ask why 2 companies, Red Star Enterprises and Minicorp, were structured out of that address by the directors of those company administrators, Company Directors Limited and Temple Secretaries. Those companies have been put under inquiry by the United States Senate for stealing $1.5 billion of the American defense budget. Why didn't our David Cameron, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, why didn't any of those stand up and say, why aren't we investigating those companies? Why aren't we checking those addresses to find out why there's 500,000 shell companies that have no financial records, that tend to asset strip public listed companies which are fake oil, gas and mining companies. They're talking about us running out of oil. If you check the alternative investment market, you will find that there are over 1,300 fake oil, gas and mining companies, all run by the same bunch of directors. Now, if you were to be £400 in debt every month, your bank would cut up your credit cards. How come these companies are allowed to raise billions, and there is no accountability? Why? Because those directors of those virtual oil, gas and mining companies are the funders of political parties.
Yeah.
And that's where you don't understand. I'm trying to give you little keys that you can check yourself. And I hope for your children, for your grandchildren. You will look there and make these people, politicians, accountable. The police, how many restrictions have they had in their sort of manpowering, where they're restricted to street patrols? Some of them haven't even got cars. Some of them resort to paper cutouts outside supermarkets. If that's what this country is all about, where our intelligence services are protecting this country, then there's something wrong. Look at the financials of organised crime, and somewhere in each of those companies you'll find a politician or a member of the House of Lords. It's knowing where to look, knowing where to dismantle them, and understanding the mechanics of organised crime. So, any questions? Anybody want to ask me a question about what other oil, gas and mining companies are taking the mick out of everybody? All the politicians.
He owns London Mining Company, Sierra Leone. I've been to Sierra
This
Leone. Everybody knows Tony Blair was Sierra Leone, because when he was in charge of giving away all that money, when he left, built diamond mines and given so much land. He owns London Mining Company, worth billions.
Now you just mentioned Tony Blair. Part of my
Sierra Leone war, but he
yes.
gave millions and millions and millions to Freetown. I was there in February. I know about Tony Blair.
This gentleman just mentioned Tony Blair. Let me tell you something. Very few people would remember that Tony Blair was made an advisor of a company called UI Energy. UI Energy was operated by a bunch of South Korean con artists who then had oil drilling rights in northern Iraq. Nobody will understand the importance of that. Who were the other advisors for that UI Energy? Well, there was the ex-Australian Prime Minister, Bob Hawke. There was members of George Bush's military advisor team. They were all made advisors of a South Korean fixed-up corporate that had access to the oil rights in northern Iraq. And you're telling me that the Iraq wars weren't about oil? No, they weren't. I'll tell you a little secret that none of you know. None of you know. I've been in touch with a whistleblower, a very senior, well-respected, retired civil engineer. That gentleman is a man that I hold in high esteem as an engineer because of his honesty and his friendship with myself, and he put himself at risk, at great risk. That man, I'm not going to name him because he's under the Official Secrets Act, which I don't try to cross the line on. But that gentleman gave me inside information that in 1989, a certain young Conservative member, and that would be David Cameron, went to a place called Pelindaba. Now I know where Pelindaba is because I was a mining engineer for Goldfields of South Africa as well as an Air Force engineer. Pelindaba was the apartheid government's secret nuclear weapons experimental facility just outside Pretoria. In 1989, I am told, and I will repeat what I'm told, that David Cameron went with a guy called Sir Ken Warren and Dr. David Kelly. Do you know that name?
Yes.
Anybody know Dr. David Kelly?
Yeah.
And they went to Pelindaba to arrange, which was all pre-arranged, that before the 1994 general election and handover to the ANC government, 9 20-kiloton battlefield-ready gravity-drop nuclear weapons would be moved from Pelindaba and out of South Africa before the handover to the ANC. Now, because I was also security cleared to work with nuclear weapons, as in the WE-177s, I also know the destructive power of nuclear weapons. Those 9 weapons, 6 were sent to Chicago for decommissioning, and 3 were purchased by a section of Tory grandees. Those names, I have some of the names, not all of them. And it was an organised, orchestrated purchase where they were onward sold to the British government at extended price, which meant that these people were making millions in that purchase. I am told Dr. David Kelly went to Pelindaba. He organised the weapons cradles and the fitting into 20-foot ISO containers of the 9 weapons, and those 9 weapons were then railed to Durban Harbour. Dr. David Kelly would then hand over cash to the sellers, which was Arms Corps of South Africa, and the dealer, in-between dealer, which was John Arnold Breedenkamp, an ex-Rhodesian arms trader. The other company involved in Britain was a company called Astra Holdings. Astra Holdings was run by an MI6 spoof called Stephanus Adolphus Koch, and he was implicated in various other misdealings with Midlands Bank as their weapons dealer and weapons procurement dealer for that bank. I am told that Dr. David Kelly was ordered using a UOR, which is an urgent operation requirement invoice, to purchase 3 cylinders from Arms Corps via Astra Holdings, which were then railed from Durban onto a ship, and Dr. David Kelly, apparently from my source, moved those weapons to Oman for the retake of Kuwait. Those weapons were then put in a storage facility, and they were used as a deterrent and a retaliatory weapon should Saddam use chemical or bio agents against our coalition and UK forces. As we know, no such weapons were used against us, and so those weapons remained in a storage facility until the cessation of hostilities. I am told by my source that Dr. David Kelly, at the cessation of hostilities, went back to organize the movement and onward shipping of those 3 20-kiloton nukes to Chicago for decommissioning. When he opened up the containers, they were missing. I am told by my source that those weapons found their way into Iraq and then onward into Syria. I am told this, I swear by Almighty God, that this is the information that's been given to me, where our politicians are accountable for those nuclear weapons that were lost. I am further told that one of those weapons was detonated by North Korea on the 23rd of May 2009. Check the internet, it's there. So where was the money trail for these particular 3 purchased nukes? It's in Hansard. Have a look in Hansard. Hansard, June the 22nd, 1993, 17.8 million was deposited into the Conservative Party accounts by a person called John Arnold Breedenkamp under his tobacco company's Front Shell Company. 17.8 million, and that was the kickback and the money trail for those 3 nuclear weapons. If you have a constituent MP, whether it be Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem or UKIP, you can ask them to contact me to contradict what I'm telling you now, because 1, I have the forensic correspondence between myself and the Iraq Inquiry Secretary, and further every single politician in this country, because it's my duty. Anybody that loses a tactical, battlefield-ready, gravity-drop nuclear weapon needs to be put in front of a jury or in front of an inquiry to ascertain on what conditions were those weapons purchased and what conditions they were lost and where they went and how much they were sold to North Korea for. It's your future, everyone, your children, your grandchildren, to understand that in a few short months you will have a pen. It's the biggest weapon that you can have. But before you put a cross in a box or a tick, go and speak to your politicians. Ask them if this is not fact. I see you're recording it and taping it. Brilliant, do it. I have been put on various websites and interviewed on a few radio shows. Those radio shows are accessible to anybody. You can look for it. Just look up 788 790 Finchley Road. Just look at 3 lost nuclear weapons. Just look at Dr. David Kelly. You will find some of my research work. It's not hearsay. It's not conspiracy. I've dealt with these people. I've dealt with them. I know who they are. And I know the reach and the bottomless pockets that they have to protect them, because I've been threatened. They've bashed on my door late at night with giving me solicitors' letters to take my stuff off the internet. I won't, because it's my duty. And I will never fall back on that. Thank you.
Gordon, would you like to come up here? There's a gentleman here that would like to take your evidence. Yeah, what's your name? Okay, what's your name, sir?
Son is bad, not for me, but if you've got evidence to give, this gentleman.
Yeah, we need to know who. Okay, we'd like to know who we're giving the evidence to, so there's some accountability.
We do, John.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak with the editorial team, see if they're willing to accept it, okay?
Right, okay, sure.
Alright?
Yeah.
So it'll be a little while.
Okay.
Chat with them and someone else.
Do you know exactly what it is we're giving you here?
I've no idea.
Okay, we'd like to explain to you what we're going to give the BBC today. So, Gordon, would you like to just explain? Do you want to use this? Can you like using this?
No, sir.
Do you want to hold it there?
Hello, sir.
Go on, Gordon.
I think we need to get it on.
Introduce this man here.
Gordon Brown.
Can I get you to speak in the mic?
Oh,
okay, sure.
Right,
yeah. In 2005,
Speak up.
Speak up, Gordon.
Speak
with some documents relating to boiler rooms in the United Kingdom, not Burkina Faso, Nigeria, but in the United Kingdom. I presented that in a chain of correspondence to various MPs in Derby North, Chris Williamson, Margaret Beckett, and then the Labour Party, Lib Dem Party. I presented forensic evidence which explains in great detail how billion-pound money laundering networks were set up from Finchley Road. And those were part and parcel of a fraud in which my retired partner was one of 800 victims. And because of the political implications of those addresses in Finchley Road, which were then under the Conservative control, even going back to the days of Margaret Thatcher, nobody would touch it. And I've gone on a journey. It's been my crusade in this country to understand that the BBC never given me a platform to present evidence which shows a schematic of how Finchley Road addresses are used in over 250,000 in one company, 250,000 shell companies that are linked to the covert arms trade. I'll give you that. I'll stand one-on-one with you and sit down and work through a sequence of documents that will highlight to the people of this country, not to protect politicians, that it will give these people a better idea of what massive multi-billion pound organised crime and money laundering is, not from Africa, this country.
What do you actually have?
Well, I've got a sequence of documents I've presented in the Royal Court of Justice in a civil case.
Oh, so this is an ongoing legal matter, yes?
As far as the case is concerned, it's a closed case because the woman has done a runner. She fled the country pre her criminal trial. But our civil case was in a defamation case where I received evidence which linked her to the Finchley Road address. She was convicted on 27 charges of criminal fraud, theft, money laundering, and operating a bigger network. And it's that network which I have exposed over many years using my forensic skills as an engineering officer and a mining engineer. And that's what I would like somebody, one reporter, and I've been to see Alistair Osborne when he was at the Telegraph. I've given them evidence.
Other media organisations already.
Not specifically about this. This was to do with fake oil, gas and mining companies, of which Lonro was the surrounding. You know about Lonro, and a guy, an Australian called David Anthony Lenigat. Ever heard of his name? I'm sure you do.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I'm not
he
sure.
runs 147.
I should tell you, I'm not a journalist, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like an opportunity to present to a legitimate representative of the media to show how governments or certain members of government protect addresses of boiler rooms operating out of the city of London. And I will name the politicians.
Let me have a word with my editorial team downstairs.
Okay, no problem.
Big scoop.
No. This is something. This is something that is to be.
I'll have a chat with you one-on-one.
No, that's not a problem. I thank you very much for that.
All right, not a problem at all. Okay.
Your name
I'm
is
Steve.
Stephen
I'm not a journalist, so...
Burney.
Okay, Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen from the BBC is going to go in and have a chat with the editorial team and see who's going to come out and take this.
Pleasure. Pack the crisps in a Mars bar, you know?
Okay. Gordon is being escorted into the BBC to give documentary evidence of the biggest political scandal in UK history. Okay, insider trading, money laundering.
This is Sharon from the Crossroads. I'm with John Patterson at the BBC. We've just had some very interesting developments, so I'm going to let John explain. Right, over to you, John.
Very fortunately, Sharon recognised my voice and said, "Oh, you're the chap that's been making the videos with Gordon Bowden." Gordon Bowden is an ex-RAF whistleblower. He spent 13 years of his life trying to expose the biggest fraud, money theft, and laundering syndicate in this country, where the assets from the British Treasury have been stolen and transferred into offshore accounts using fake oil, gas and mining companies registered at 788 790 Finchley Road. And today, Gordon Bowden walked into the BBC with the evidence, and it's the biggest. I can't even explain what this means. He's walked into the BBC, and the BBC, for the first time, have got privy to these forensic documents. When Gordon comes out, I think we're going on next. I don't know where we're going, but the fact that he just walked inside the BBC is just mind-blowing. Because the lid's off, the truth is out, it's all over the internet, and expect to see this very shortly coming out in the no longer controlled media.
And the interesting thing is, we've got it all on record. We've recorded him talking to the BBC and then walking into the building. So there is a record by many people of what's happened, and it is quite historic, isn't it? You were quite excited and you were quite emotional about it.
I was in tears. I
know.
I have it videoed. Several other people have it videoed. It's going to go out worldwide. And this whole paedophilic, warmongering British establishment is coming down. Because it has to. It's been going on for decades. And we've had enough. We're stopping it.
So this is warning to them.
I want to say a big thank you to Gordon Bowden. He's one of the bravest men I've ever met.
He is. He's really put himself on the line, hasn't he?
13 years of his life trying to get this out.
Brilliant.
And he's finally got it out.
And we witness this. The people of this country are now witnessing a coming out of the truth. That the things they've been trying to suppress and keep hidden, that they've been robbing the people of this country.
We've been robbed blind.
Yes, we have. But to line their own pockets. And that's where the money's gone.
They're blackmailed because of their corruption. That's why they get elevated to senior positions.
Because they're corrupt.
They're all controlled. But those days are finished. This is where it ends.
Now we're going to come back in a minute. As soon as Gordon comes out, we'll be on it. So thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work, because I know how much work you've put into this. Right, here we have Gordon coming out of the BBC after having delivered the documents.
He's actually given forensic documentation evidence of the biggest political scandal in UK history.
Who wants a
If you understand the legalities of any accusations made, where implications are made about massive fraud, theft and money laundering.
The worst thing that we want to do is diminish any investigation that may get these people off. So I've handed a few forensic documents over. They're going to do their own investigation, and with a bit of luck, things will progress from there. But that's what I'm hoping for, is that we plant a seed that these people will not get away. They are public servants. They will be accountable to the people of this country.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? Hey! Well done, Gordon. 3 cheers for Gordon Bowden. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip!
Right, it's Sharon from the Crossroads at Parliament Square with Mitch. We've just had the most amazing results, and I'm now going to let Mitch explain what exactly has happened today. Over to you, Mitch.
Thanks, Sharon. It's been, as you say, an amazing day. Well, we gathered in Trafalgar Square earlier. There were a few hundred of us, and we gave an address. Gordon Bowden came down. Gordon is an ex-RAF serviceman who has been documenting the fraud of this government that's been done through fake companies, insider trading, money laundering and share dealing to the tune of billions of pounds of debt fraud. So basically siphoning off debt facilities and earning money out of it. And Gordon's located all these fake companies, over 250,000, that are based up in Finchley, and he's researched this extensively over the last 13 years. And today we rallied in Trafalgar Square, then we marched up to the BBC and presented the evidence. Well, actually Gordon Bowden was taken into the BBC and actually given I guess like a meeting which lasted about 40 minutes. And so the BBC now have this evidence, which is the biggest political scandal in UK history, which actually goes back to the times of Margaret Thatcher, when she was an MP for Finchley. And all these fake companies, successive government ministers have been involved in, and their sponsors, the party sponsors. So they've been defrauding not only the British public, but they've been defrauding the integrity of this government here. And what we've seen today is that the BBC will be held to account if they don't investigate and broadcast this information, because it's for the people, the taxpayers. They've got a right to have the information, the correct knowledge. So what we want to do is we want to make this institution accountable, okay, because we know that these people are corrupt. So what we're doing is we're moving forward with Anonymous and Aspire. Aspire is Accountable System Project for International Redevelopment and Evolution, and we're looking at new systems of administration to replace corrupt government. So we say no more unaccountable government. We want accountable administration from the people, for the people, by the people. So we're moving things forward today. We've had a massive landmark piece of history that we've made.
That was amazing. I was there, and it's all recorded.
Exactly.
We have him going into the building with all his documents.
Exactly.
So there's no denying it now.
Absolutely.
That was amazing.
The BBC have got the information. They've now got to act on it. And what I'm saying to people is get this information, these videos that, you know, Sharon, you guys are making, get these videos, share these please. Everybody that's watching these videos, share them as far and as wide as possible, because, you know, we know that cover-ups happen. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with this information from the BBC. Hopefully it will be aired and these people will be held to account. But just as a security safety measure, we're asking that everybody shares this information on the net, you know, with your friends. Download it, create some DVDs, hand them out, you know, make sure that you've got this information and hand it out, because we want these people to be kicked out of government, because they are not only murderers, they're fraudulent, corrupt criminals. You know, they go to war in our name, making money off of our backs.
you know, and it's got to stop. So, you know, today has been a great event, and hopefully this is the catalyst for some change.
Yes, but isn't that the whole purpose of war? To make money for the elect few?
Of course, yeah. This is the thing, and it's like the thin veneer of society. When you scratch it, you realise that it is just like the Matrix. You know, we're led to believe that we live in a free society, but it's the illusion of democracy, the illusion of choice. And actually what we have is a fascist state.
Yeah.
It's a police state, it's a fascist state. We've got surveillance everywhere. We know the depth of the surveillance. Edward Snowden has revealed this, and you know, various other people. So we know the depth, we know the fraud, we know how complicit and corrupt these governments are. And we know the UK and the US government are dirty, you know, we know that they are dirty, controlling fascists.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we're waking people up, and we're saying, join us, come out with us, you know, on the streets. There'll be other events, other ways, but the secret is to get the knowledge. Knowledge is power, and share the knowledge, you know, because the more people that wake up, you know, the less chance these people have got of getting back in. And one last thing I'd say is about voting.
Well, I was going to ask you about that.
Voting.
So good.
Okay, like Mark Twain said, if it made a difference, they wouldn't allow you to do it, yeah? The illusion of choice, the red and the blue, okay? It's voting, if you're going to vote, I would say vote for the Green Party, personally.
Yeah.
Okay? But realise that this system that we have, this democracy, is not a democracy.
It's an illusion, isn't it?
It's actually an illusion. It's called a plutocracy, which is Greek for control by wealth and power. Yeah. So the people with the most money control.
Yeah.
Okay. They're called lots of different things. The elite, the Illuminati, you know, the 1%.
I call them murderers.
Yeah, the murderers.
And swindlers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are. That's right.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. They make their living off the hard work and sweat from the good people on the ground.
They do.
And then you're meant to be thankful that they're there, you know, doing us a service. Well, what they keep forgetting is they're there to serve us. We're not there to serve them, and people need to remember this.
They do. That's right. People need to wake up and take back control and realise that, as you say, Sharon, these people are there to serve us, not the other way around. What's happened is that they've committed a massive. They've turned on their own people. These people have actually turned on their own people, and they're sending young men and women to their deaths in wars for
illegal
profit.
wars.
Illegal wars for profit. They're not accountable, but today we're making them accountable.
Yes.
Today we are making these corrupt politicians accountable. So long may it continue.
Right, thank you, Mitch. How can people, if people want to find you or find out about the marches and the demos, where would they go? Where's the best place for them to go?
The best place for them to go is actually onto the Aspire website. Okay, this is Aspire. I don't know if you can get that on your camera.
I can do a freeze.
Okay, Aspire. Okay. That's me.
Right.
All right.
So that's where they go when they want more information and on the demos and everything.
They've got an email address there. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay. Aspire stands for Accountable System Project of International Redevelopment and Evolution, and we're looking for accountable systems of administration to replace unaccountable government.
Brilliant.
All right.
Right. Thanks so much, Mitch.
Thank you very much. AspireWorldwide@live.com. They can get me on that email.
Brilliant.
Mitch, just before we bring the interview to a close.
Sure.
Can I ask you to put a call out to all the groups to actually talk to each other and come together so that
stop bickering and fighting?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I've asked groups to unite, and I've been saddened by the disunity, the disharmony, and groups like Stop the War Coalition and the People's Assembly Against Austerity. They talk a good talk, but when it actually comes to getting together and uniting and taking some action like we've seen today, they won't do it. They're not prepared to do it, and I have to question why. And I say that these groups are controlled dissent.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is we need to wake people up and say, look, if you really want some action, okay, you might want to carry on with Stop the War Coalition, People's Assembly, but come and join us on the streets when we do events like this, because these events, they don't need many people. We probably only had a few hundred people today, but we've achieved more today with 200 people than 1.5 million people achieved, I would say. And I was one of those 1.5 million in 2003. And that the government didn't even listen, but today they will listen, because what we've done is we've dealt them a massive blow.
It's about getting involved, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If you want change, you have to get involved in being part of that change. So, okay, Mitch, thanks for the interview.
Thanks,
it's
Sharon.
been an amazing day, and I really do feel like I've witnessed a really historical moment.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
amazing to
Me
see
too.
what we did today.
Yeah, it's amazing, Sharon.
And we will catch up with you very, very soon.
Great,
and
thank you
thanks
very
for being here.
much. Thanks,
Thank you.
John. Cheers,
Thank you.
thank you.